What is your biggest trigger? I'll go first. Mine is when people tell me, just be more positive. The truth is, I am. Social media is not real. What you see are the happy moments and the pain-free minutes that I'm choosing to share with you. You see the beauty of the owls. But there's so much you don't know about me. And sometimes I wonder, would you still like me, support me, or even love me if you knew the real truth? Would you still follow me if you knew that 15 years ago I escaped domestic violence and ended up in subsidized housing? That once you're in the system, it's nearly impossible to get out of? That you don't get placed in a safe, clean home? That you get placed somewhere with bug infestation so severe you end up in the hospital? That you end up in a place where you end up being stalked by your neighbors and some are attacked and even murdered? Would you still care about me if you knew I used a skin filter because I have severe acne and have been bullied for literally decades because of it? If you knew I could never afford my cameras and that the ones I have were gifted to me because as a disabled person my income barely covers survival, would you still follow me? Would you still support me if you knew I could only use my hands for about an hour in a 24-hour period because the pain becomes so unbearable? My fingers are tomato red, swollen, and they're on fire because of a very rare autoimmune disease. I also have late-stage Lyme disease, haven't had treatment in 5 years because there is none in Canada, and my USA doctor retired. Would you still feel the same way about me, knowing that every night I am hearing rodents chewing things in my ceiling? That I live above a laundry room and I'm breathing in toxic fumes from the exhaust vent by my bedroom window and my living room door, that I'm quite literally being poisoned with nowhere to go? Would you still follow me if you knew this past Christmas I spent the night with detectives knocking on my door because one of my neighbors were murdered 10 feet from my bedroom window? Because that's what living in subsidized housing means. Social media is not real. Yesterday, I wanted to film an owl. I wanted to share it with you, but before that could happen, my home filled with fumes so toxic I nearly passed out. So I went out to my car to turn on the air conditioning to get clean air, and I found out my car died. And my car is how I make ends meet as a delivery driver. And, well, my books on Amazon are the only other source of income. My best friend drove me to see the owl, and when I got there, I was met on the trail. I had trail rage from this ableist woman who see me using 2 sticks as canes and decided that people like me don't belong in nature. You know, this happens to me at least once a month, and combine that for over a decade. I talked about it once, and I'm told to be more positive. Would you still follow me if I talked about those things every day? Probably not. That's why I don't. That's why I show you smiles and sunshine and owls and everything beautiful and full of love and light. Did you know I went to college to study healthcare so I could take care of the elderly and disabled people in their homes until I personally became physically disabled? People tell me you should just stay home, but it's not safe. It's filled with mold. I hear rodents, and I'm constantly inhaling chemicals that make me sick. I literally have nowhere to go. So I really don't need to be more positive. I already am. Despite all of this, I choose to share the beauty I find with you in this world. I choose to show you the moments that make my life worth living and hope that you feel the same. And to those who accept me as I am, on my good days, I'm endlessly grateful for you accepting me on the bad ones, too. Let's be honest. Society does not uplift people like me. If you are disabled, poor, overweight, live in subsidized housing, you're seen as less than. And that is the truth I've been keeping from you. I live with incurable illnesses. I suffer more than most people will ever know, but I still choose joy and choose wonder. So please don't tell me to be more positive. I already am.